Talking Point platform. TTPTV.
Today, Friday, the 22nd September. Good morning. I welcome you to the African Young Voices, where they come to you live from Wesley Street Studios. My name is Zulaya Hamid.
And me, your name is Elizabeth Momo. Of course, this is now Wake Up Saleone here on AYV, channel 33. We're also there live on radio 101.7 FM, and same way so on with DSTV channel 399, and also on Facebook, AYV News. So, of course, we can take all the comments, then questions and thoughts as we carry on with the program.
Well, as we carry on, today we did specifically discuss President Julius Maada Bio in speech at the United Nations General Assembly where he make na New York. And for do this, I get with me Reverend Jibrila Akagbo, one of the Director of Communications, NCD. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning and thanks for hosting me.
And also I get with me Imran Sila from the Strategic Communications Unit. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Plenty, thank you for the opportunity. Morning.
Yes, so forget the speech. Maybe we'll go for a short break. We'll come back. We'll take the excerpt.
Every day, the world wakes up to you. Millions of people are getting ready for you. For shopping, travel expenses, utility bills, trade, and commerce. If we all have wishes, then what is your financial transaction wish?
I'd like to have a choice.
I'd like convenience.
I'd like to pay for goods and services on the go.
I'd like to pay utility bills on the go. Out of credit and data, buy some mobile top-up, still on my phone. Oops, light out. I'll buy some ETSA, still on my phone.
I'd like to make payment from my account to another account through my mobile phone.
As a CEO of a company, I would like my staff to receive their salaries through bulk e-payment without the risk of transporting cash.
Rokel Commercial Bank Simcopo does it all.
Rokel Commercial Bank Simcopo. Think of it as
money when you're close to home and when you're away from home for unexpected expenses, and money for those times when cash fails.
If you can dream it, you can become it. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it.
Rokel Commercial Bank Simcopo is all you need.
His Excellency Julius Maada Bio, President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and to invite him to address the Assembly. Your Excellency Dennis Francis, President of the General Assembly, Your Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, Excellencies, colleague heads of states and government, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, permit me to extend my heartfelt congratulations on your auspicious assumption of the presidency of the 78th session of the General Assembly. My delegation and I stand unwaveringly by your side, committed to fortifying the bedrock of global unity during your tenure. I offer my profound respect and gratitude to your predecessor, Mr. Saba Kurusi of Hungary, whose depth stewardship of the 77th session is a guiding beacon for all. To our esteemed Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, your dedication to weaving together the strands of global consensus for battling poverty, planetary crisis, and championing sustainable development goal is a testament to your leadership. Mr. President, the soul of Sierra Leone, echoing the spirit of Pan-Africanism, resonates with the clarion call of this year's theme: rebuild trust and reignite global solidarity. A testament to our enduring democratic spirit was showcased on June 24th, when in free, fair, and peaceful multi-tier elections, the Sierra Leonean people elected their leaders across various tiers of governance. My re-election as president for a second final term serves not merely as an endorsement of my leadership, but a solemn testament to my government's commitment to fashioning a Sierra Leone that thrives as a united, peaceful, and dynamic bastion of hope and opportunity. A nation where our aspirations for abundant jobs, food security, quality education, and equitable healthcare are not mere dreams, but manifest realities, where justice and opportunities are not mere prerogatives of a few, but the birthright of all. Mr. President, in the face of global upheavals, from the pandemic to geopolitical tensions exemplified by the war in Ukraine and the ensuing food crisis, my first term stood as a beacon of our commitment to democratic freedoms and human rights. We rooted out the unpleasant legacies of the past, repealing antiquated laws such as the seditious libel statute that lingered for half a century. We consigned the death penalty to the annals of history and charted bold advances against the scourge of corruption. Our devotion to education was unambiguous. Over 800,000 new learners were introduced under our aegis, and we significantly augmented domestic educational funding, ensuring it constituted an average of 22% of our national budget. We champion an ethos of radical inclusion, providing unfettered and tuition-free access to quality primary and secondary school education for all. In our unwavering commitment to dismantle the barriers of gender inequality, my administration declared a state of emergency on the heinous crime of rape and sexual and gender-based violence. Sierra Leone urged the global community for solidarity on access to justice and remedies for survivors of sexual violence and the recognition of November 18 by this General Assembly as World Day for the prevention of healing from sexual exploitation, abuse, and violence. Our Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act of 2022 shows our commitment to equality. With this act, I've proudly inscribed our nation's pledge to reserve a minimum of 30% of seats in elected and appointed offices for women, ensuring equal employment opportunities, lengthening maternity leaves, and compelling our financial institutions to chart pathways that amplify women's access to financial resources that they so rightfully deserve. As I step into my second term, Mr. President, my government has carved out 5 pillars that guide our national development trajectory to spur sustainable development and social progress. Food security. 1, food security, intertwined with investment in agriculture, is poised to just feed, not just to feed our nation, but to fuel job creation, propel economic growth, and alleviate the weight of poverty. 2, human capital development, meticulously crafted for the modern era with a special lens for gender equality. 3, youth employment scheme. This promises our younger generation that their energy, passion, and ambition will find fertile ground in Sierra Leone. 4, cutting-edge technology and infrastructure program. This is conceptualized to pave sustainable pathways of economic ascent. And a thorough revamp of public service architecture, refining its essence for utmost efficiency professionalism, and service delivery. SDGs towards peace, prosperity, progress, and sustainability for all. Mr. President, 78 years ago, the United Nations was born from the profound understanding that peace, development, and human rights are inextricably intertwined. Each element nourishes the other, creating an equilibrium essential for global harmony. As we stand at this juncture, let us remember that the noble ambitions enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations to foster international cooperation, to confront and surmount challenges, be they economic, social, cultural, or humanitarian in nature. It is in unity and shared purpose that the promise of a brighter, just, and peaceful world is realized. The resonant theme of this General Assembly, therefore, opens a horizon of possibilities, beckoning us to harmoniously forge ahead in the shared pursuit of accelerating progress and enduring sustainability for all. Our world faces formidable challenges: widespread poverty, persistent hunger, the looming shadow of climate change, and the unsettling presence of sustained and emerging conflicts. To honor our 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development commitment, member states of the United Nations must rekindle the fires of trust and galvanize a renaissance of global solidarity. Trust requires a harmonious amalgamation of our collective wisdom and resources. Solidarity mandates our unwavering cohesion, even when navigating different and opposing philosophical terrains. In pursuing the 2030 Agenda, we must resolve to leave no one behind. We must fervently champion inclusivity, recognizing the intrinsic value of every individual, irrespective of their circumstances. Progress has been made, but we acknowledge that the road ahead is challenging. However, this challenge also presents an opportunity for innovation and collaboration and reimagining our global priorities. ECOWAS regional peace and security. Mr. President, we view with deep concern the rising tides of insecurity and the subtle erosion of democratic governance and ideas in the West African sub-region and the Sahel. Sierra Leone raises its voice alongside our ECOWAS allies, expressing unequivocal dissent towards an extra-constitutional changes of government. Such challenges to the very bedrock of our democracy threaten the stability of individual nations and the fabric of our collective African identity. Why we stand united? It is not simply a call to maintain things as they are. Real stability and lasting peace don't come from resisting threats or building defenses. Instead, they arise from genuine, open conversations. True dialogue requires that everyone at the negotiating table must be ready to seek and find common ground. While we emphasize the importance of dialogue, we cannot ignore the crucial reality. The ongoing threats to our continent's constitutional stability are signs of deeper problems. Every action that undermines the rule of law is connected to underlying issues. These range from past and present injustices to the burden of poverty, widespread unemployment, and the dangers of discrimination. Our duty is clear. We must lift our people from poverty. We should focus on creating jobs and supporting industries that benefit our countries and our continent. Mr. President, national electoral reforms. Elections as vehicles of democratic transformation fortify governance and allow peaceful transitions. After our nation's multi-tier elections on June 24th, we stand resolved to strengthen our democratic foundation, recognizing the significance of deepening our democracy. I have instituted a National Electoral Systems Review Committee to address historical challenges to our electoral processes. Since our first multi-tier elections were conducted after the Civil War in 2002, the electioneering process has been plagued with persistent challenges, including contestations of declared presidential election results by the constitutionally mandated Electoral Commissioner. To address these historical challenges and consolidate our democratic gains, a comprehensive review system is necessary to reform Sierra Leone's electoral landscape. The National Electoral Systems Review Committee will comprise the government, civil society, political parties, professional organizations, and development partners. It holds the mantle of evaluating existing frameworks, institutional arrangements, and observer mission reports. Its mandate extends to proposing vital reforms fortifying Sierra Leone's electoral integrity. These actions encapsulate our commitment to forging a fertile environment for dialogue, affirming democratic governance, and fostering enduring peace. Mr. President, it is regrettable to note the decision of certain member states to introduce unilateral cohesive measures, including visa restrictions on Sierra Leonean citizens following the recent multi-tier national elections. We observe that such unilateral measures, which are in contravention of international law, have sometimes been the response to electoral outcomes in other African nations to exert political pressure. As members of the international rules-based community, African states strive for sovereignty and meaningful cooperation based on mutual respect and understanding. In democratic processes, every democracy faces unique challenges. However, the essence of sovereignty, as contained in the UN Charter, is the ability of member states to address and resolve internal matters independently and without external pressure. In our engagement on the international stage, we hope for understanding and mutual respect, especially on important issues like national elections. Constructive dialogue and open channels of communication should be the pillars of our global interaction and not punitive, unilateral, cohesive measures that do not further the entrenchment of democracy, but instead strain relations between nations. Sierra Leone remains steadfast in its commitment to free, fair, and credible elections alongside our dedication to the rule of law. We believe that democratic progress is a journey, and its pace varies from one nation to another. We respect the individual paths countries have taken in their quest for democracy and anticipate the same level of understanding and respect for ours. We aspire to nurture relationships rooted in solidarity, cooperation, and mutual respect, all directed towards a shared global future. United Nations Security tenure. As Sierra Leone takes its non-permanent seat at the United Nations Security for the 2024-2025 term after a hiatus of 53 years, We are deeply aware of our shared duty to uphold international peace and security. The profound nexus between peace, development, and human rights will be the beacon guiding our priorities. We stand poised, resolute, and committed to forging a world where these ideas are not mere aspirations, but enduring realities for all. Sierra Leone fully subscribes to the ideas of multilateralism as true global peace and security. Our vision to serve as the vital conduit linking the equitable community of the West African states, African Union, and nations in focus with the Security Council. As we yearn for tranquility and justice, we pledge our commitment to collaborate with 500 members of the Security Council and as part of the 10 elected members and the 3 African representatives. Reform of the U.S. Security Council, Mr. President, Syria recognizes the pressing issue of Security Council's legitimacy, active representation, and transparency. In a world reshaped by geopolitical reality, true global peace and security on reforms and the rejuvenation of United Nations Security Council and the UN General Assembly. Joined by 3 United Nations member states, Sierra Leone committed at 2005 World Summit to support reforms of the Security Council as essential elements of our overall effort to form the United Nations, to make it more broadly representative, efficient, transparent, and further its effectiveness and the legitimacy and implementation of its decisions. Why this force has seen forward movement, the historical injustices endured by the African continent remain unresolved at negotiations. Africa, glaringly, stands alone as the only region without permanent representation within the Security Council, and is conspicuously unrepresented in its non-pandemic category. The United Nations Treaty remains trapped in the era of 1945, when much of Africa was still in the regrettable grip of colonialism. We must not allow these colonial leaders to persist 3/4 of a century later. Africa demands for 2 permanent seats, complete with merit rights, including the veto, is maintained, and 5 non-permanent seats are issues of equity, justice, and our right to have an equal say in the decision-making on issues that affect the African region. Our conviction is steadfast. Security Council squarely confronts these long-standing inequity and imbalance as in Africa's unique circumstances. As coordinator of the African Committee of 10 Heads of State and Government on the reform of the United Nations Security Council, we continue to advocate and garner support among member states and other interest groups for the common African position as enshrined in the Ayv Consensus and SADC Declaration. We will also envisage in viewing the working methods of the Council to instill transparency, accountability, democracy, and ultimately renewed legitimacy. Climate change. Mr. President, our collective pursuit of sustainable development confronts the triple planetary crises of pollution, climate change, and biodiversity loss. Despite contributing minimally to these crises, Sierra Leone remains intensely vulnerable to their repercussions. A reality compounded by our limited University scope. Our National Adaptation Plan, launched in 2018, as an embodiment of our commitment, designed to have our vulnerability by 2030. It underscores risk awareness, regulatory enhancement, institutional empowerment, and gender-responsive adaptation strategies. 006, equitable and timely access to climate financing. We request unfettered access to leverage new climate change adaptation and mitigation technologies and shared knowledge. Our salvation from the escalating climate change crisis lies in collective wisdom and concerted effort. Global solidarity. In today's complex world, the urgent need to rebuild trust and strengthen global unity stands out. We must adopt the operative approach, set aside individualistic actions, promote shared progress based on common values. As we deal with the disputes of sovereignty and self-determination across the world, we must also resolve to do so with dialogue, exhausting all avenues for peaceful resolution. Conclusion. In this evolving multipolar world, where conflicts ripple across borders and power dynamics are in flux, we must recognize our shared interests and intertwined destinies. The multifaceted crisis challenging our global community demands unified action. Our collective strength is determined by our most vulnerable segments. The voices we make today, the choices we make today, have far-reaching implications for tomorrow. One path takes us mere rhetorical commitment to equity and solidarity, while the other beckons us to act with conviction, driven by a firm belief in equity and justice, economic justice, social justice, political justice. Let us choose wisely, for the fate of generations to come hinges on the decisions we make.
And you say we build, and you say we build trust, and you say
driven by a firm belief in equity and justice, economic justice, social justice, political justice. Let us choose wisely, for the fate of generations to come hinges on the decisions we make now. Thank you.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone.
and you say we build trust and ignite global solidarity. And for build trust at that global stage, it gets several challenges. But of course, we always know, say, if we start somewhere, like in say charity begins at home. And so, like in assessments, you look at both sides. And key expressions, the way the president they use. They talk about global unity, shared values, and the fact that no reason now at a time like this in the world for me to get one segment of the world to another. Well, of course, somebody else will tell you, say you pays the part of constitution. So all these things inside the dynamics of the president is dead. But of course, you can say the president use a very bold approach for presenting the issues, especially when it comes to the reform from the United Nations. And it spoke about historical injustices Africa don't experience. And you notice a anchor is statement on Africanism. And also one way always for Africa coming together, then we applaud the residents on that particular approach. It's like you go before this person way, all this while creates the problem and tell and say you are responsible for this situation. And I see an opportunity for me to get frank presentation issues at the global level. I can't talk about with the president in appearance at the global stage without also talking about the situation back home. That me always look for also that issue of complementarity inside. We see the same kind of effort being put to make we also get things happen on the ground. So that at the end of the day, whatever we say out there, it will be clear reflection of what also happened within.
I'm waiting at the tone of the speech in union and conciliation, because just as I have been saying, when the president started the speech, you talk about the soul of Sierra Leone, the echo and Africanism. And of course, we see that the speech tends to actually call on unity of Africa, eliminating interventions or interference with the decisions of Africa, especially when it mentioned the multi-elections, and also try to advocate for more seats for Africa in the UN Security Council. Is this a speech with a tone of Pan-Africanism?
So, plenty thank you again. Let's just say, I mean, if you don't listen to speeches very recently of other African heads of state, you could sort of understand, say, President Julius Maada Bio is not alone in this sort of tone, right, and approach, and being honest, candid, frank. If you listen to William Ruto, right, Kenya, if you go listen to Paul Kagame, some of their speeches them and interviews the way you don't get, na international platforms them. I think say you can easily see inside President Julius Maada Bio said they come up from in terms of the tone and manner. Then can put parable. Also, they can say everything, poor as I am. Say bitter is my blood.
Bitter blood in me.
Not to be because that means I'm not grateful for, be honest and frank in the conversation, to be because I don't know this in to myself, I had a cancel. Now you can give me more pocket money. And that means say I'm the honest and frank kind of conversation with you. No, I think say before we supposed to move away from that mindset, that mentality. So I mean, I think his excellency talking way. I think they talk very recently, and the other day been at the American University, and it's sort of enough to move from what they say in terms of general, I guess, to the United Nations General Assembly. There are several phases where you go through. In terms of 5 years, to in the second 5 years, talk about the electoral system and reforms where they don't place. It is always an opportunity for any president of any republic or any nation where they give the United Nations, it's basically an update to watch back home and view on global situations. So we, say Salone now by next year now with the go now that seat, that non-permanent category, So there are a lot of things where they at play, a lot of things at stake. Now the continent, ECOWAS, right? President Julius Maada Bio in role, all of them things. And so it carry the sub-region with them to the United Nations. It carry the continent with them to the United Nations. It carry the hopes and aspirations of every single Sierra Leonean with them to the United Nations. But also they carry worldviews.
This call
on Security Council and plenty of other things.
This is strong call for solidarity. The president is so called for solidarity for towards the north. Is it coming from a personal view or maybe influence from things happening back home, or is it really the call for African leaders or African nations? Because in 2021, the 77th session, in speech was a bit different. If the speech talk about having finding the root causes for COVID-19, climate change, also conflict. And if we look at conflicts way beyond the whole in Africa, in 2022, we saw Burkina Faso, Mali, Sudan, Guinea, 2020. So these political instabilities, they don't day. What is this one, this called, this particular speech, is it meant to address something influenced by personal stance or something from African issues?
So, I'm generally, every speech in the United Nations is being informed by within at a particular moment in time. So every year, UN gets a theme. And based on that theme, every head of state, you talk around them, and within the happening, the context, the situation, the circumstance. You make reference to COVID and all of them, and they go way back to the former president Ernest Koma, when there was Ebola. He was informed. So the circumstances and situations, right? And so he had to make it then befitting the moment. That's what the resilience has taken into consideration. You talk about the stability now. Now the continent cools from one country to the other. I mean, you can say, okay, it is mostly Francophone, African countries, yeah? But it is still closer to home. And the issues of the context from one to the other, and the frequency with which then they occur, it is something that we also have to speak to and see how capable for address. So it is many things, right? And particularly in the occupied position written as chairman, C10, also so many other positions than we hold, and so it carry the continent and the sub-region with them when you go on the international platform.
Okay, make her bring in Reverend Jibril Akagbo, especially in the area where you say true dialogue requires honesty and genuine willingness from all parties to adjust, adapt, and find mutual understanding. Everyone at the negotiating table must be ready to speak and find the common ground. Back then, one of the reports with the ADI, the key values responsible for some of this angry, bitter, abuseful population there across the country. So how does this factor into decentralization and creating jobs opportunity for everybody across the country? As you be put and say, but people wouldn't say now one side no more way when it comes to jobs, now one side no more will get job way party A cam, SLPP cam or APC cam.
Of course, every effort will be made for change the situation and make sure say it reflects. There's a word where the president used. He used inclusivity. It's so important for make we know say for be reflected across the board, so that everybody they come on board. And the president's statement at the global stage, of course, that's where people get for examining again and again. For me, I can't also look at the situation, and especially because after 50 years, we Saleone was a non-permanent member of the Security Council. We don't get an opportunity again to go into that arrangement there. For me, it's about putting our house in order so that we work such that what would they reflect on the global stage? We also see them as clearly being reflected nationally. And this calls for every well-meaning Sierra Leonean putting their shoulders to the wheel and getting things the way it's supposed to go. As it speaks now, with all of the good intention, for say we're going to present Sierra Leone in a very positive light out there. But if you look back home, the how things they happen, we need for now, in fact, intensify the dialogue with presidents they present at the global stage, that locally. And that is where this thing about local democracy comes in, where they talk about ensuring that the people in SSF then get aware and directly involved or make things come on fine. And this, you ask me in all honesty, it's a very fine speech from the president. But now, we now move beyond those beautiful words and see how the practical reality is reflected both nationally and internationally. Indeed, truth be told, we get a lot of bullying at the international stage. You say one country, they feel say, well, I get so much power, and I mentioned this now, I said something about he who pays the piper calls the tune. My brother gets a fine way present them. Say, not to because they come July after the programs, I ever come meet you say, give me something for so mean say I not go be honest enough for tell you the truth. That is a very fine way of putting it. But truth be told, and the reality in the world we live in, that person will get more influence than you in terms of the wealth he gets. If you just feel say, he can Lord and move over you. So again, it means say as a continent, and even the countries and within the continent, we get for work real hard for make we able to address the issue of economic justice, as he mentioned. Of course, Usai, you get the economic issues resolved. Social justice, they go follow easily, etc., etc. So we get a lot of work for do. And from a background, as somebody who study literature, we can always talk about appearance and reality. The appearance really fine in terms of how we presidents don't address the international community. But again, more we work and fix all of these things together, we mean say every Sierra Leonean gets a responsibility for like we will not make a president gets a negative review from the international community. So it's everybody coming on board for gets the things done. Usai compromise need for be made. Usai people need for bend over backwards. We have to do that so that at least we maintain a balance in terms of the national image and the international posture.
Imran, quickly, you said true dialogue requires the ability to adapt and adjust. Is there a platform for we as Sierra Leoneans in terms of reflecting on what he said, referring to President Bill, on the issue of a platform for make we get a situation where there is true dialogue coming from the government's point of view?
Look, I mean, let's say, if we look at what's in the happen, Salone, I think say, we suppose for borrow from which President don't say at the global stage. And then they suppose for happen right across, regardless of the political persuasions there. The ability for sit down and get a conversation around the issues. His Excellency the President, he talking at the UN say, he don't get a systemic review. He don't set out. Follow, look at the electoral system, laws, practices. Going way back to 2002, no government, no president, certainly not on sit down and get a forensic analysis of our electoral systems and laws and practices. And His Excellency the President simply say, okay, well, I'm not president, right? And my government definitely go provide leadership. But not to government who don't get this conversation. Civil society, una come. The international community, una come. Political parties, una come. Law can sit down and get a conversation around the issues. How do we make it better? Or at least, how we not able for repeat within people and perceive for be the problems of the past going forward. So if we get problems, then let them be problems in 2028. Let them be different problems in 2033. Let them be different problems in 2038, and so on and so forth. Let them not be the problems of 2002 and 1996. That means we're not moving forward. Now that kind of atmosphere, His Excellency the President want for create. Just yesterday, I think Peace and Cohesion Commission been get some
International Peace Day.
Precisely, and I've been to Mani also. Deputy Minister, I think Keketoma been did it, and I think say make a speech. How do we come together? Elections are over. And one of the things that I go also get for say, hindsight and say, not always a very good thing. I seem to be excited because we know they get by elections there between now and 2028. Ask me what you do. As polarized as this system look like so right now for we, or as people that want for make it be, if we get by elections, something happen at conference, go by kata, name for don. Reverend and for sit down every time they can begin to talk about Bible and scriptures and peace and wait and God. Thankfully, for the next 5 years, that not going to happen, So we can focus on more germane and organic issues and get conversations there now and move forward. I think His Excellency the President, that posture we don't take abroad, now the international stage, now the same posture we don't take now, yeah, which I think so we need for do. Let us trust him enough. Let us come to the table at least. Let us show, if even not for President Bio, you're doing it for Sierra Leone. Go to that table and let your views be heard.
Okay, let me bring in Thomas Dixon, a media and political analyst. What do you make of the mood or the tone of the speech of the president during the United Nations General Assembly, the 78th session?
I watched the president delivering this speech, and while coming in, I listened to AYV, where the president also the talk, and I think the tone of the speech is something we could describe as grandstanding, where psychologists will say a grandstanding, where somebody this are the make tough. They make tough, like the president do. For me, when I read the speech again, I able to shred out 4 issues. The president talk about issues back home, whether those issues are reality or they are just mere rhetoric, or to present as the previous speaker say, appearance of Sierra Leone being doing good in some area, is another aspect. If you look at the intro of the speech, the president talk about justice, opportunity for all back home. Is that the case? That's what they happen at Salone. We get justice. You take a look at the matter of Lara Telopias, the suspended Auditor General, where a matter don't they a tribunal they look at them for almost now 2 years, going to 2 years. Is that justice? Go to ordinary Sierra Leoneans, the way they seek justice. Now the judiciary, some people and they send their remand for over 5 years. They remand. Then case no they come up. Is that the justice for all the president is saying about? Would they live in a country who side and sack people and because of their last name, cleaners, because of your last name, we're not responsible for me, not Dixon. I'm not responsible for who side and born me. I'm not responsible for get that name. But this they happen as alone. These are reality happening in Israel. The president talk about healthcare, job opportunities. These are we all never see. Even you go to some government hospital for even get gloves, it's difficult. I always remind Sierra Leoneans of a lady, a very brilliant lady, maybe they work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We sent them by now. They don't excel. Nyanda Rujas, where because of glove not 34 military hospital and some basic things, he died. Many of Nyanda Rujas in look at that pregnant woman recently. Is that the better health we are talking about? Look into other issues where the president mentioned. Another thing was shared out. Now the Africa and ECOWAS position. The president says Sierra Leone raises its voice alongside our ECOWAS community, expressing unequivocal dissent towards an extra constitutional changes of government. Such challenges to the very bedrock of our democracy threaten the stability of individual nation and the fabric of the collective African identity. I think for Africa for grow, I think most Africans believe in them. They watch Afrobarometer them reports on democracy and military good. About 67% of Africans still believe in democracy. And which means this particular statement, it is in place. But coming back to reality, the president says Sierra Leone joined the voice. Yes, he joined ECOWAS for condemn. But we see who said the president was the first and the only African head of state we don't visit Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, which is a tacit endorsement. We see again, Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya don't move. Now Sierra Leone, the only African, democratic African country don't move into. With a huge military paraphernalia around them, which is also a tacit endorsement of. So if I'm Where would they make them beautiful speeches here? Where would they tell them what's reality? The president talk about, say, real stability and lasting peace do not come from resisting threats or building defenses. Instead, they arise from genuine open conversation. Have we ever had open and genuine conversation in Sierra Leone since this president came into power 5 years ago? If like when Thomas Dixon they talk so, they don't say, Thomas Dixon APC elements, I'm making the talk so. That person left that man there. Have we ever had a genuine not to say Sierra Leone as a nation will not get conversation. In Pakaba in terms we get the truth and reconciliation after the war. We make brilliant recommendation in the and Escoma in terms we get what they call the transformative conference. We say we not get conversation. We had the transformative conference where for put Sierra Leone in a position of a middle income country in 2035. Ask whether that transformative conference document to sign that process was led by a very brilliant Sierra Leonean who is late now. He worked for the UN and rose to high prominent position, MacLeod. I think even in we do this, we also get the cultural review committee. What thing we end up with? We end up for rejects about 90% of the progressive recommendations. So we get conversation, but whether we conversation then genuine, it's another thing. And sometimes when you come out and speak boldly and courageously to the issues, the reality, people begin for brand you. Say you know APC or you know SLPP. So what would they see now? They see the rise of misfits at the social media because the people away for talk. We don't intimidate them to the level that they need to talk now. So now a misfit in social media will just sit down and say, hey, don't hold Komon-Tok. Because the states don't threaten. Voices the way them for be hard. With people their voices and they use for get encouraging. As Pakaba say, Jojo is better than war. But President Bio they call for peace abroad. There are many issues we for look at. We just come up by election, also get people they raise question, the opposition don't accept it. Then they say, and then they go, we don't hold genuine conversation with them. We don't sit down with them at the table for all genuine conversation with them. Then demands say, they talk about compromises. Then demands say what they make. We don't bend backward over for accept some of them demands. Like for example, let's for the sake of peace, let us publish the unaggregated data of the election.
Thomas Dixon, how you go also want for describe, I mean, in the first time of the president, he moves for actually hold the Bintumanity for make sure say bring people on board. And also the moves of the Independent Peace Commission were actually being delivered, although the document was not, it was a classified document. And so we don't know the details, but then from engagements with the opposition party coming from this last election and having other international people for come in and dialogue between the two. How you go describe that? Is it strides to what he puts in his speech?
You look at, I think the Bintumani conference was a very brilliant idea of the government. Coming from the background of 2018 election, we went into an election like always, we came out very polarized. I think it was a good thing. But the same opposition, I think that again, we therefore call out the opposition. The opposition have been refusing. They have been creating, they have been resisting negotiations sometimes. They refused to attend the Bintumani conference, citing some of the things where them cite, some of them were reality. But at least, as I say, una go there and go talk. But now the same Bintumani conference, you see critical voices them then talk. You see Basita Michael speak total power. Marcella Samba. At the end of the day, these people were branded. They were branded. So the Bintumani conference born out the Peace Commission. The Peace Commission came. In the Peace Commission, where it come, for go approve the Peace Commission first, the act. En fait, ou fait na parliament. Ou fait na parliament for get a Peace Commission. Even the Peace Commission Act for let them implement according to the spirit and letter of the act. There is a section in the act where say from the executive secretary to the cleaner position, all for be advertised. ask if they advertise one position. A letter will begin see from State House, violating the same Peace Commission Act. Is that the way is that the way you create equal opportunities? I can want for give you job, but let's follow the rules. I want for give me party job. I go tell and say follow the rules. But even we on Peace Commission Act, we violate. We see outside the Peace Commission they do brilliant things and then be NTR and they bring the opposition and the ruling party together for let's get a consensus. But the Peace Commission Executive Secretary, he makes some statements then at that press conference, that government press conference, where I think say it is below the belt. It is below the belt as a Peace Commission policy, as promoter the pioneer peace. You get for take them, what you they talk, let it not halt the process. And sometimes people who they pioneer peace, they know they talk until the peace done. The peace happen because they don't want to make any statement. We go hamper the furtherance of peace. So for me, for let people get me clearly, I think the Bintumani conference by President Bio is a brilliant idea. The Peace Commission Act and the Peace Commission itself is a brilliant idea. However, if the law say, let us advertise job them, we advertise them, not go say na me team picking na the law writes letter. Then they are na party picking, law write letter we appoint them.
Let's go to the other area. It says we must lift our people from poverty. And through that poverty, the President Bio make a demand that jobs will be created. And in response to that, the other jobs, they don't say 500,000 jobs, for example, the Suma group of companies back where do the international airport again, another 500,000 jobs. So who are these people being employed? If hunger is still there, if fear still they go up, people are being punished.
Fear in go up one, I think, they read USA Today. I think fear law increased back now, USA Today 20%. I think fear in go up one is global issue. 2 days ago, I watch BBC. I see we are in they try for ask the OPEC nation led by Saudi. Say, why are you guys cutting? They don't cut production. They don't cut for the pump so that they give rise to the fuel price. So, for example, a barrel now is up to $90 per barrel. So I think that's for countries like Sierra Leone,
we'll have to pay the price.
It will definitely affect us. And owing to the fact that this government don't say they know they subsidize it again. I think say we'll get fulfill the brunt if they know they subsidize again. So at any time we for expect that they come into job and lifting people out of poverty. I think that should be one of the core functions of government for remove people from poverty. And I'm glad the way President Bio give one scenario where they talk about peace. Say, why would they quote Desmond Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu? They say, will they allow people will they go save the people inside the water? The told for Luna for stop people not to fall into the water. That is exactly how can we stop this poverty? How we will remove people from poverty? I think more people don't go into poverty than President Bio don't lift them from poverty in a saloon. More people have become poor, impoverished, than more who don't come up in poverty. I don't get statistics to that.
You for provider.
And
not just talking.
You time you go speak to this issue. I'm being genuine here. I'm being genuine here. But so, if you look at 2021 World Bank report on the indicators of poverty immediately after COVID, they clearly depict poverty. I not get a recent report of 2023. Poverty don't increase at that time. More people are into poverty than President Bio actually met. You understand? So President Bio need for do more for lift people from this poverty. And talking about 500,000 jobs, we are not a small country. If my brother and party get job, I will not say get job. You say Suma 500,000 jobs. Who say then in Alunge? 500,000 jobs. That is the aspiration of the president now. Say we want to create 500,000 jobs. And me, they say if the president creates 200,000 jobs, it don't do well. Just 200,000. If you're able to create some, but how will get then job then day? if the country is politically stable, again, the young people, are they skilled? I remember where Africa Mineral can at this country. For ride that tractor, then every machine, then for driver. We don't get people then. Then they go take na Ghana. Then they go take na Nigeria. So we the young people who want this job safe, get for ensure say we open we safe. We open we mind for land. And then we left for listen to people where they tell we say every 2-3 days we for go protest. That investor who for can invest $300 million as a loan. If every 2-3 days when they lock down the country, you know they can. Stability, you know they. So you need a good job. So we the young people, let's say, forget sense. When somebody sit on America or na UK or na Holland, he say, hey, una come on do, una shut down the country. Una shut down this country. This effect go deeper, go affect we 4 or 5 years ago. Just imagine you employ 200,000 people. You get 200,000 employment. The rippling effect will almost reach another 100,000. So we get 300,000 employment. If somebody they employ me now, I get a better job, then they pay me good salary. I go able for hire cleaner. I go able for increase minani in salary. I go able for employ some. I go able for going to businesses, put people in there, so that na other job we go create indirect job. So me, you know, President, you no need for reach 500,000. Let's just give me 200,000 for slow C. Well, me, I think it's a very difficult process. If we not ensure, say, first and foremost, this country is peaceful and stable. These political wranglings here and there, we need for me at the board, we need for deal with them. And when dealing with it, we need for be genuine with ourselves. Usa we don't go wrong, as the president say. Usa we don't go wrong, not for build defenses. Usa we don't go wrong, we accept say we don't do wrong. Usa we don't move, we say, okay, we don't move. And then the opposition self, therefore, be open to dialogue. This is our country. The opposition, they are governmenting with it. Una not get for the present stumbling block. Anytime they want to say dialogue, stumbling block. Anytime they want to say that, they say peace, una go pan peace business, una create stumbling block. They say una go pan census, una create stumbling block. Una need for be open up and participate in the state's affairs. Una self get for car, una no go say una not trust all man. Una self get for car, una self to tell una uka rule. If the una can rule back the other people, you know this country, nakne they left pamposi. When this person that person they not come back. Then say begin create the same encumbrances here to development. It no go good for the future. And we'll pick in the future.
Okay, now over to you, Imran. You know, the theme actually got to do with rebuilding trust as well. And we see when the President will be the call for the global solidarity with all other nations, and also the constant call for mutual respect, because he make mention, say, we recognize all my intrinsic value of the individual irrespective of the circumstances and all. And if further on call, I mean, instead of having punitive measures, instead get a dialogue, you understand? Is this speech about gaining the trust of other nations on a global scale in governance?
So I will answer your question, but then I think I'm not going to serve the purpose and I'm not going to do my job if I not give response to some of the things that way my brother Dixon don't say, yeah? Because some of them just factually wrong. On the issue of Lara Telopias, we know say Lara ain't very loyal as them. Now then they ask for long adjournments. That is factual. It is on record. So some of the delays that they talk about online issue, now Lara ain't very loyal than the causer. And then they go and ask for them long dates them for adjourn. They don't make several requests for adjourn. And court get for grants them. So that is also part of, the narrative online business that one for let the public also understand and know. Second, nobody, we talk about the judiciary, nobody know the way they don't put in a remand for 5 years. In case they're not there. Nobody. In the past 5 years of President Julius Malema Bio, this judiciary we did. Babatunde Edwards. Nobody. Right? There are so many reports, international reports, where they quite clearly show the number of cases there. We don't go to the judiciary. The number of conclusions there. right? Where the judiciary don't arrive at, I think it's about 400 and something, of a total number of about 800 and something cases. The most recent report, I think it's about 60% of total number of cases will go in one calendar year, where they bring can to conclusion. So, and we know, say, the judiciary, they expand from district to district, judges, magistrates, then now they reside in them places and there. So when we talk and want for criticize, I mean, I hope it doesn't become an Olorichi Gordon. I don't know if you have been hearing that name there. Naira, Naira Sabi Bota.
One of the best journalists we've ever.
But forever critical. And he died. I mean,
to all go serve the government.
He died a pretty miserable man. Yeah? Just forever critical in life. Even the things that you don't need for be critical, but you just get for be critical. But it doesn't serve its purpose. I appreciate Reverend.
A good, we are not cynical. We are critical.
Reverend can be critical. But he's also thoughtful and thorough and detailed. Right? It's a conversation you can always like forget. On the issue of the white paper, we know that there are several portions of that white paper who don't pass into law. The comprehensive work we let Pakao and do was rejected by the previous administration, right? And we know that the process don't begin back. I think about a few weeks ago, they may have been to Mani or Gladys Blow or something, no so, where they don't begin to meet, they try to look at the recommendations there. So not to have considered in the beginning an entire process, right? That a process that is being continued based on all of them things that they don't generate from that white paper. So, I mean, I think there's no way you can say in this country will not make progress on several things then. Death penalty, gender equality, percentage now. Trade Dixon and they talk forever. But the lack of women in a cabinet and parliament. Now, of all the things they get for criticize, but that is one less thing, right? If we get the slightest opportunity, -1. Yeah, now we don't get -5. If we get the slightest opportunity, I will not be done fulfill and the Dixon.
That is why we are all
Dixon for don't spend forever. They talk about that. But I mean, today you can talk about plenty of that thing, but then they don't talk about that. So meaning there has been progress. What am I saying? And an important point I think say touch on. President and any government can only set the stage. We all supposed to seize the moments and then seize the opportunity. Let us come to the table and have those conversations. If you disagree, you have reasons now for one for disagree. No, so? Because you don't get them conversations and you don't get them discussions and you don't raise them points, you don't raise the objections and around the table. I mean, and say, knock on the left pamposing. This cannot continue as alone. The anytime you find yourself in opposition, you get forget 101 things there for criticizing and say, no, I'm not great. SLPP too. Don't refuse for shop in parliament. But it did not last. SLPP too. Don't get objections in the past in 2012. But it did not last. Because somebody around that table would get in conversations and they within the party said to them, come, you have to be part of governance. The only way you're able to raise fair and legitimate issues them and raise the objections then they now we're there on the table in governance. Come there. Have those conversations there and take it forward. And so ours was short-lived back then. Right? There has to be an end game. There has to be an end point. Government is not saying this post-show president you don't take at the global stage, more specifically to your point. They talk about solidarity, they talk about unity for the continent, for the sub-region, for the world. UN Security Council, none of them kind of thing and they. At in core, these are values that we believe in. So if they make them posture then they abroad, internally, it really sincerely mean them. When you been doing to manage 3, where you mentioned, how many people seize the opportunity and seize that moment in there? If even a bluff, in the bluff, call him bluff. They did not. Before you marry, they don't criticize the team. Call people who bluff. President don't extend the olive branch. Come to the table. If you know me now, you will see her. But I know President Julius Maada will mean sincerely every single one parent in there. So on the electoral system reforms, he has initiated it. Civil society, Dixon. Now my brother, Forget about all this. When you see me into even say you wonder whether we'll ever get any conversation. And then kind of a platform there. This thing will get the opportunity. Right when they do the electoral systems review, when I call them back on AYV and plenty other platform there. But just be critical. And as a result, you make them better.
You could like for respond to the area where you say President Bill in governance, more people that don't kind of poverty than limit. You go quickly respond to that.
No, but it already opt out. He said the data way.
Look at the data. It's 2020. Look at 2020. 2022.
Okay,
World Bank Economic Outlook.
We talk about 2021 first. Now it's 2022.
Yes. So look at it here.
It is not relevant at this material. He has an outdated data. Here's my point. And at this President Bio don't commit himself to, right? President Bio is talking about providing jobs. We have talked about 500,000 jobs over a period of 5 years. If you watch your manifesto, right, and then data, we also they talk about potentially with the agriculture cable for bring in terms of jobs. We're talking about 65% of jobs can be found through agriculture. And hence the reason to make President passionate, right? But production, rice cultivation, and all of them in it. You talk about Suma Group, we say 500,000 jobs. No, Suma Group never say so. So that's something we'll probably need for correct as we get in conversation.
Not a Suma Group talk. So the airport go intend for provide 500,000 jobs.
No,
President Bill, not a Suma Group talk.
But Suma Group now then they run the airport. So essentially
they go provide jobs.
I don't think they say 500,000 jobs.
That's
right?
what they say.
Because no. Go check that report there, pull back right now so we get this conversation before done. This is 919. I should say you go for pull up, block out from wherever you get up before the end of this program. I'm sure airport and Suma never talk about 500,000.
So how much jobs then go create?
No. You know what you mean? When you go to that place, you know, China those 500,000 people listening on there for just by the geographical space that you see, it cannot contain 500,000 people. So they never say
certain will be the campaign. Certain will be the campaign. They make that statement.
Excuse me, Dixon. So when they start for create for build the airport till the end, that's what I meant. For when they begin for build.
Okay, phases.
Yes, the phases.
You probably.
You know what is 500,000?
You probably meant 5,000. So don't just say something that was an error in meeting. Probably I understand that. 500,000 jobs not occupy that land space there, na airport. Elect them, try, say, you know the work.
And all the one the way they don't create now. So how much is that? So how much can we account for?
I think we think realistic for this conversation, and we think realistic for low no, that they have provided hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs. Not that airport right now, right? From the one that we from the old one with transition cover, and the one that we did recruit over the period, right? I will come back with the exact figures. I will reach out to the airport authority, right, and come with the exact figures in terms of almost people that don't recruit over the period since the media operation. But more broadly to the point, I think for able for take stock and judge President Bill on the new commitments there for in second term as President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, we will probably get for take the next 12 months or the next 24 months because he has talked about 500,000 jobs. And with no certain jobs that they come up from. We will come and can take stock and do a yearly evaluation in terms of how many jobs we don't add. It might be less some year it will be more, but the target is certainly 500,000 jobs over a period of 5 years. And that is something we think is doable, that make President Bill make their commitments.
Imran, I asked a question earlier. Is this speech a call for trust in the governance of the president?
I think so. I think it's a call for trust, but then it's a call for no belief in we self. This interesting enough, this is not the only place we'll get. What we'll call home. This is not the only place we'll get where we can disagree for agree. So he's saying, you don't need to be about him, President Bill. He's on his way out. His second and final time as President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Thankfully enough, so far, and we're not going to ever hear that's a commitment made, let me life for that day. We're not going to ever hear anybody to talk about third-term agenda for President Bill go be here today. This president is different. We would never hear that. So he does not have any, which you would call real stakes. His stake is in the sanctity of the state called Sierra Leone. how I will left farm a better place. So let there be trust. And that trust they will only happen when you not get them conversations in this. Because initially, so I mean, if I see every ordinary, I will say, no, I don't for student talk with everyone. Because I don't get close up and personal with them. But if I begin and get entertaining conversations, and they will begin to get in dialogue, and I might find a different thing in everyone. Will convince me, so we can have a dialogue and a conversation, and we can reach conclusions then, and we will live by them conclusions then.
Reverend, how do we rebuild trust? Because, for example, coming away from the multi-tier elections, there are still uproar or disagreements.
Definitely.
Yes, and of course we have an opposition where say they're not ready for participating in governance, no show up in parliament and all of that because there's no trust in the institutions of the state. How do we rebuild trust?
As if I anticipated that question, so I wrote down, building trust requires confidence building. I think over time we don't get challenged in that area there as a people. It's good for say this for Apple, but it's also good for make we get them overtrust them. We will make the other person say, even though I get this challenge with this person, but the kind where this person don't make so. More talk. You see, in the speech where the presidents deliver to the world, it sounded very bold for speak, especially the position of Africa from that Pan-Africanist perspective. So back home, let us also be bold. Let's take a leaf from the president's statement and say this. It might sound controversial, but because we talk about confidence building trust, you see, under Ernest Komon tenure, tension them in there. We say they don't go to the SMP office, they don't go beat people there. But you go see that president, they go grab, they go even tell the security, say, "Una stay outside," they go. Anytime we then say, at least, it triggers something for some people and say, this man, although sometimes party people and they make this kind of thing, but the man is ingenuine. Me, honestly, all this while, with what's happen around the election to this period, I was looking forward, and I still look forward to that day where President Bio will just say, call it even an unannounced visit. Where you're aware, say them they say, today I go back to the APC office. It will make a world of difference in our country. And Komon used that for quell a lot of tension. Not to say party supporters normally they create problem, but because in take that post today, a lot of people will be see and say, this man, it means something. Me, in the best interest of a country, I'm also putting out this piece of advice with all due respect to President. Take that move one day and see what will happen. Because we want to begin see how they build confidence. Yes, Zulai, I say make we can talk, we for talk. But if you see a gap, we don't get half puskas. I say, what in here, they come back and Zulai in office, or they go on your house. They go say, when by this kind of approach we take, so even though that thing we say to me it's hurtful, I go get a second thought. Let us work on that. You see, President say one thing. He said, the things that would happen nationally, they are intertwined with the things that would happen internationally. In fact, same way so, the things that would happen within political parties, they're also intertwined with the things that would happen between political parties. Let us reach out. Let's make the effort. Something where probably at the bring come in again, the board I just talked about her, where he said the president make a commitment. For me, that is one thing where I feel say we for amplify in the president's statement, say now in final and last time. It's the global stage that he has said it, and we not expect any kind of situation. Of course, we see say we don't kickstart the constitutional review process, but again, then they also require